This AFC North preview edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Circus Sports. Circus Sports is giving away $14 million this NFL season. Sign up in Vegas and play from anywhere. Get all the info over at circusports.com. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app to get last minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. Use promo code SGPN for $20 off. And of course, we're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Get in and draft Best Ball Mania 4, which has a $3 million first place prize. Sign up with promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. Ooh, welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog. Remember when the North was cool? People watch TV shows at the same time. There was a wall. There were White Walkers. You never got into this shit?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's why we're here. This is the AFC North.
We are the North.
Can you picture Lamar Jackson sitting up on that wall, waiting for those giants?
Lamar
to come?
Jackson would be done in episode 1 of Game of Thrones. If you're going to battle and you go, I don't know, my knee's kind of bothering me. Can't go to battle. I got a brace. Yeah, sorry guys. I'm holding out for some more.
King hasn't paid me yet.
I'm holding out for some more mana and some, some wenches, some more wenches and mana.
Well, you
no
need
thanks.
weapons. You need more. You need more catapults. He doesn't have enough weapons. That's the problem. It's been all on Lamar's shoulder. He's tired.
We thought we were doing 2-a-days, right? Or we thought 2-a-days ended with the NFL team previews. 2-a-days chugging right along because we got the AFC North preview this morning, live youtube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast. Tonight, week 0 college football picks podcast, 8:30 Pacific time. So again, and then we got 2 episodes tomorrow, right?
We did hilariously. I made the entire, basically to pull back the curtain. I make the entire schedule for the summer, and then things move around. But there's so many, there's an inventory of episodes we have to finish.
Yes.
Somehow forgot preseason picks this week. So got to slide that in. Probably 2 more episodes tomorrow. Yes. So.
And of course, we will be live from Circa Las Vegas this Thursday and Friday. Still plenty of time between now and NFL season kicking off. Essentially, go to circusports.com, smash all the information. Again, come out for, if you can, or if you're near Vegas, highly recommend coming out for the Circa sign up weekend. We're going to be there this August 24th, aka Thursday, aka Ryan's birthday, through the 26th. $14 million guaranteed in prizes. We're going to sign up for Circa Million. We're going to sign up for Circa Survivor. We're also going to debut our live VSiN show, aka Sports Gambling Podcast Live, 9 p.m. PST. Set your YouTube TVs. Subscribe there. Sweet little sweet graphic we got going. It's going to be a hell of a weekend, Ryan.
Yeah, I like how. I mean, honestly, what do you use the neon red light to indicate?
Degeneracy.
Yes. After
the
dark,
red light district.
Things you're not supposed to do, right? Like nothing inviting is in red.
VSiN messed up. They gave us our own show. It's gonna be awesome. And speaking of our own show, the Patreon, the first bonus episode, Sports Gambling Podcast Stories, that is out. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Grab that. Sign up for the $1,000 NFL win totals contest as well. We did the birth of SGPN, where Kramer and I walked through how we met, how he got the show started, launching the company.
In hindsight,
Ryan's ownership of a lizard.
In hindsight, hopefully, very, very open-ended ramble about the past. I don't often think about the past, Sean. I'm stuck staring through the windshield.
Yes, we did a rear view look, which Kramer is normally against.
I think we might need to change the name of the show to just therapy. It's good. Ryan and Sean talk about the past and maybe have guests. I was thinking we need it would be fun to do episodes where it's like the Colby Dant birth, the birth of the Dantabase. And Colby comes on and tells us his version of how he came about. All right. AFC North?
Yeah, AFC North. And also reminder, again, I was 4 wins off on the initial projections. You were only one win off, Ryan. So maybe the YouTube commenters who
maybe explain that to the fans at home. Basically, there's only so many wins that can physically happen. We don't predict ties here at the Sports Gambling Podcast. So 272.
Yep,
is that number. And yeah, like Sean said, he was a little heavy. He was talking a lot of shit to me about, hey, we got to tabulate these numbers. You don't it doesn't seem right. Turns out I was more on than him in some ways. All right. So Sean has given back a win.
Yes.
He's given back
I took
one
a win away.
I took a win away and gave a win out. So I'm still with a 1 win surplus, I guess. I have to it wouldn't be a deficit, it would be a surplus. So still looking for that team to take a win away from. Just kind of high level coming into this division. Looks like I gave a lot of wins out in this division. No one under 500 might need to take a win away. This might be the division to do it. All right, let's get started. Bottom to the top. I mean, it almost feels like they have become a second Texans, a second San Diego State, an adopted team of the Sports Gambling Podcast. Perhaps because there's so many filthy Steeler fans around, and because we hate the Cowboys, it's okay that we like the other filthy team that everyone roots for. But it does seem like there's a lot of Steelers fans in our lives and players that play for them that are fun to root for, like Minka Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, George Pickens, and just an all-time coach. Well,
Tomlin, confirmed dog.
Like, no joke. If I'm drafting head coaches and I don't know the sport, Mike Tomlin's very top of that list. Like, think of that exercise for a second. You don't know the sport, and you got to draft a coach.
To me, he's the epitome of leader of men. He just walks around with that chain. You know they're gonna have he hasn't had a losing record in the NFL. Like, it's a crazy stat we bring up all the time, but it's worth mentioning. Like,
8-5 is the total. We both are quite bullish, Sean. Not only 100%. Do we say Tomlin over 500 again, roll your eyes emoji, basic 12-5. We both went, which a little bit of a measuring contest to see who could go higher after the debacle from last year. We obviously both, gave out tons of nice things about the Steelers. I think the world is catching on. Obviously, preseason.
No, Kenny Pickett's look good in the preseason.
Always hate preseason hype when it's on a take that you like and you haven't done. Like, for example, I haven't drafted most of my high stakes fantasy stuff left, and it's just crushing me to see the Steelers doing well, crushing me to see Darren Waller looking like a guy that's rising up draft board. So yeah, I think.
Well, and real quick, Ryan, I didn't mean to interrupt. I did get
Jesus Christ.
I did get a comment from. I have to read this. It's too funny not to read.
Well, you know what the problem is? You're drawing attention to it, which means other people are going to come out of the woodwork.
No,
like, you do. Yeah, you do that, Sean. You got to stop doing that.
Love you guys. Been listening from the jump, but what the fuck, Sean T. Green? Will you STFU and let Kramer Centric talk? You ramble on for 2 minutes, and then Kramer tries to talk, and you're constantly cutting him off. You're becoming unlistenable. Kramer, do you think I cut you off?
I think.
Here's what I think about Kenny Pickett.
That was well done. It was almost like we planned. It was almost like,
and we didn't even do that in rehearsal.
Yeah, the pre-production meeting went smooth today. Yeah. Last thing I was going to say about Tomlin and just kind of how great of a leader of men he is. Let's think about the situations he's had to temper, and most importantly, have you ever heard someone say a bad thing about Mike Tomlin?
No.
And this includes Antonio Brown, who has thrown shit at everyone else. So it makes you wonder, what kind of power does this man have?
Le'Veon Bell held out for an entire year, hated the organization, had this big falling out. He's come full circle. First off, he never threw Tomlin under the bus, and he even came back and said, "Hey, that was sitting out for a year. That was a mistake." Le'Veon Bell is, I know we have the, the what they've agreed to and all the contract stuff, but Le'Veon Bell is the owner's greatest leverage. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jim Irsay, as Colby likes to call him, threw Le'Veon Bell a couple like 20 grand under the table and say, hey, why don't you go out and remind the players that if you sit out a year, you lose a year of your prime athletic ability. You're not getting that year back. So a lot to get to say Mike Tomlin is awesome, and the results are on the field. Again, they're secretly becoming one of the best preseason teams. They look super sharp. They have quarterback depth. Their offensive line, I think, was like kind of pushing around the Bills. Someone mentioned that in the chat, and I totally agree.
They have the best third string quarterback in the league.
No, that certainly helps. But Kenny
Mason Rudolph is like a bottom of half of the league backup.
Yeah,
but as a third string, elite,
perfect.
Elite. You could argue, Trubisky and Mason Rudolph the best backup quarterback room in the NFL?
Yeah,
no one's asking that question, but we should discuss it.
Well, maybe the 49ers.
All right, so
Trey Lance looked really good.
Obviously, we're high on the Steelers. Obviously, we like a lot of the same stuff. So I did attempt a little bit to be different here, but I've not given out a single basic total in my favorite future all year, but the Steelers is at 8.5, which is a fucking mortal lock. Smash! We just highlighted it's the coaching. It's like TJ Watt. Obviously, we're not predicting injury, but TJ Watt staying healthy is a big part of this. But this is a offense that could look a little different. We haven't seen an offense. I mean, Big Ben was kind of holding on at the end there. It was a very low ADOT, like quick throwing system. They have George Pickens. Deontay Johnson is still there. Freiermuth turning into a weapon. I mean, Jaylen Warren looks electric in the prees. I just think they're going to have this offense is going to be good. And I'm confident of that. And so if TJ Watt stays healthy, I'm also confident that the defense will be good. And
they picked up Patrick Peterson, who I think gives them a little bit of depth in the cornerback position. Again, he's a guy I think he's a guy that quarterbacks don't mind throwing to, but again, he had 5 or 6 interceptions last year. Joey Porter Jr. across from them, high second round pick. They're going to be able to rush the passer. I think, and again, they're one of the teams that still has a legit home field advantage in my power rankings. Ryan, I give the Steelers 3 points there at Heinz Field because I think I do, and I still call it Heinz Field. What's it
actually called?
It's like
something stupid. Yeah, Heinz Field sounds.
I'm not going to bother.
I like supporting the Ketchup Corporation versus the other thing.
Acreuse Stadium.
Actually, we're going to go with Three Rivers Stadium. We'll just call it Three Rivers Stadium.
Three Rivers Stadium. For me, Ryan, the future is Steelers win the division plus 450. I think now when we did the actual win loss, I did have the Bengals at 13-4, but price considered, I like the 4 plus 450 because I do think, there's been moments where the Bengals haven't gotten off to great starts. I'm lower than market on the Baltimore Ravens, and I'm not in on the Browns. I think there's
hard out,
and the AFC North in general, I think will be competitive. Why not take a team with a quarterback on the rise, a guy who could make a jump in Kenny Pickett, again, making all the throws. Maybe my Najee Harris love was a little too hard because Jaylen Warren continues to show something, and maybe he will eat into some of that. Darnell Washington has made some flash plays. I think he's an interesting blocker in 12 personnel and goal line situations.
Yeah, but the reason you like Najee is because, I think it's fun to say, well, Jaylen Warren looks electric.
Yeah,
but Jaylen Warren to be electric is not out there all the time.
No,
and so Najee is going to get a lot. If this offense is good, what happens to the running back opportunities in the red zone? You're telling me they're not going to hand the ball to that man?
No,
I guarantee. Like, if you want to talk about a player that you can expect to see Sean and I hyped about when he scores his first touchdown in Las Vegas that weekend, is Najee Harris, because it's going to look fucking awesome. He's going to run someone over. I will say this: I personally, I did not put it on the sheet, but I would much horse racing style bet here. But if you like the Steelers like we do, put the other team you like with them in an exacta box because they'll juice the price up of anyone.
Yeah, and I think on the Bengals, I may have given out Steelers, Bengals, 1, 2, any order because I do think that's what it ends up, and maybe that's actually better than Steelers division. But for this exercise, I'll give out Steelers division. What about your favorite prop, Ryan?
Yeah, for full disclosure, the Steelers for the folks who actually like the Ravens, like me out there, Ravens Steelers plus 850. So for the exacta box. All right, prop. So TJ Watt, defensive player of the year, and TJ Watt most sacks are the same price. So I took most sacks. I just give me a healthy year with this man. Let me see it. I think they could be winning some games. I think they have an actual passing. Like I think they have an offense. We've discussed this many times. Obviously, if the offense team playing from lead certainly helps pass rushers and really helps elite ones. TJ Watt, those extra couple opportunities. I had to pluck at this. It almost feels like the Dak Prescott interception prop being 10-1, where I get it. They're near top of the board. In this case, TJ Watt not the favorite. But boy, when you watch him play, it's like, all right, if he stays healthy last year, he's definitely going to be in contention. So I'm back right in that well, 10-1, TJ Watt. I mean, this is a 30-point dog on a Saturday. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking and
fucking taking Santa Fe State here against New Mexico.
he's playing. He's got 2 games against Joe Burrow, 2 games against Lamar Jackson, 2 games against Deshaun Watson.
I'm not touching Deshaun Watson.
I just pulled up TJ Watt's box score from Week 1 against the Bengals. 6 solo tackles, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss. And a QB hit. The dude is just, and he got an interception. I was like, I thought I remembered an interception there as well. I mean, that's insane from one guy. Like he is a legit game record. You look at their record with and without TJ Watt. It's just night and day. It's crazy. I'm with you on all the TJ Watt love, Ryan. For my prop, again, it's a bit of a long shot, but you're listening to the Sports Gambling Podcast. This isn't the Sports Investing Podcast. George Pickens, most receiving yards, 80-1. Now,
we both like that.
I was
pissed when I saw you.
I love George Pickens as a prospect, and if you've been listening to the NFL Futures podcast, which if you missed some, feel free, go back, listen in. The metric you kind of have to get to cash the most receiving yards is yards per reception. You have to be over 15 yards per reception, and George Pickens was that last year at 15.4 yards per reception. Now, again, he only had 52 catches, 800 yards. That's why he comes in at 80-1. What's working against him? Well, obviously Deontay Johnson's on the team. They don't throw the ball a ton, but if you watch some of the preseason stuff, no, I'm saying that's what the priors were coming in with. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up throwing the ball a little bit more as Kenny Pickett gets more confident. Yeah. And again, he's a great yards after catch guy. He's an athletic guy. He's a highlights guy. Like he's a guy that you watch and you're like, oh my God, how'd that dude make that catch?
He's a dog. Like he's a proper DAOG or DAWG who's turned into a DOG, not like the dogs on Philly. We haven't seen any of those dogs mature into dogs yet. They got
Jalen Carter just continues. They got to turn
they got to turn the DAWG into a DOG at some point.
Ryan, as a friend, I just have to say you may want to walk back the Jalen Carter talk. That's if you want to say the rest of the dogs are puppies, okay.
Giants drafted a kid out of Oregon in the 7th round. Might be better than Jalen Carter.
All right, at freezing cold takes.
All right. When he upgrades from a dog to a dog, we can talk about it.
Ryan, speaking of freezing cold, you won't get freezing cold food from Factor. No, you'll get great dietitian approved, ready to eat meals, easy to get going. Again, I mean, getting meals ready is just a huge pain in the ass. My wife does a bunch of the cooking. Sometimes I have to end up cooking. I completely scramble. That's why Factor is great. I know it's going to be healthy. I know it's going to taste good. I mean, you got 34 plus weekly flavor packed dietitian approved meals ready to eat in 2 minutes. Again, that's the biggest part. That is, So, and some of it, first off, no microwave required. I'm not a big microwave guy, and they're calorie conscious. They're healthy. You got, if you're a big protein guy like me, protein plus meals with 30 grams of protein, and the stuff tastes really good. I mean, Ryan, I'm just planning our football Saturday and Sundays. Listen to this breakfast selection: apple cinnamon pancakes, bacon and cheddar egg bites, bacon and egg breakfast skillet. Are you kidding me? Plus they got cold pressed juices, shakes, smoothies. So good. And again, get going with Factor. Enjoy healthy eating without the hassle. Go to factormeals.com/SGPN50. Use code SGPN50 to get 50% off. That's code SGPN50. Factormeals.com/SGPN50 to get 50% off. And talking about football, I've been texting with my buddies, the Die Hard Eagles group. What are we doing? Eagles, Rams, SoFi Stadium. Everyone's kind of, am I in? Am I out? Are we coming out for the game? They don't know. I know what's going to happen is I'm going to be getting some last minute tickets. Thankfully, I got the Game Time app. I'm ready to go. Game Time has the lowest price guaranteed. You'll find tickets in the same section and row for less, or if you do, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They're giving you that guarantee because they know they got the lowest prices. Easy to use app. I mean, it's just great for last minute tickets, and it's not even sports, music, theater events. Want to score some wife or girlfriend bonus points before the season? Fire up the old Game Time app. Go to gametime.co. Use that promo code SGPN, and they also have images of your seat, which is awesome. No obstructed views here. GameTime.co. Use that promo code SGPN. Get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account. Redeem the code SGPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Nice work. Anything else we want to? Obviously, we're not changing our Steelers projection.
No
projection.
No, 12-5 feels good. I know I was high on them last year, but I feel like I'm high on them every year. And again, I think if TJ Watt stays healthy and if they start Kenny Pickett from the beginning of the season, maybe that late season run he had starts a little earlier. They get up to like 10, 11 wins.
What week did they start him?
It's a great question.
Because I do think there's a certain element of that team.
I mean, they did win that first game with Mitch Trubisky. He was 7-5 as a starter.
Oh, okay. So there you go.
But I feel like, them going from 9-8 to get up to that 10-11 wins, even last year, I think he was in the realm of possibilities. They brought him in that Jets game. They ended up losing that game, got their ass kicked at Buffalo. And that's where, Pickett really struggled those first two games, throwing 4 interceptions total. And then he had one other 3 interception game at Miami, which they really should have won that. They dropped a bunch of interceptions, but after that Miami game, week 7, he looked really sharp as a quarterback.
Yeah. I certainly, just looking at the targets, like George Pickens, I think garnered a little bit fewer, a couple targets fewer than Freiermuth, and then obviously Deontay Johnson was at the top at like 140, but I think he still got like 90 targets. So certainly a reason to be optimistic with another year of Pickens. And obviously there's always that bro love of guys who get drafted together. All right. So moving along, obviously it seems like we both have a bottom of the division team near the top in our predictions. Next up, I still don't get it. We're now months into the offseason process. Some say it started in March, and here we are in August, weeks away from real football, and the Cleveland Browns are still projected to win more games than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't get it. 9.5 was the win total when we discussed it. We both kind of copped out with a 9-8 prediction. I think we both were startled as to
I'm not touching Deshaun Watson.
How much we liked the schedule, how much we didn't really want to crush them because the roster is pretty good, and how even if Deshaun Watson, I guess the question is this year, if Deshaun Watson sucks, now we have DTR that we're excited about. So it's like, all right, how bad could this be?
No, I mean, the Browns to me
hand the ball off
are kind of like the Denver Broncos in that they're a tough team for me to predict, because I do like their running game. I do like their defense. I think their schedule has some good situation spots for them, but they have a massive question at quarterback. I mean, even since we recorded the Cleveland Browns preview podcast, a lot of stuff has changed, right, Ryan? Because One, for me, the fact that Deshaun Watson is responding to Eagles beat reporters who puts out like stats and does like an in-depth breakdown of the joint practices. I don't know if you saw, but he quote tweeted it and responded LOL with a cap. Now I have to ask Terrell, our resident young person on the show.
That means fake news, I think, right?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, cap.
No cap means truth.
Cap, no cap, but he said LOL. I don't know if it cancels it out. What I was getting at was that he was saying like this is bullshit. So the fact that he's letting that kind of stuff rattle him, ironically, Deshaun Watson comes off as a very thin-skinned guy. You would think of all the stuff he's been through that he would have developed a thicker skin.
What do you mean? He never has taken a step back and apologized. He has.
There's literally been no accountability for
zero
all the stuff that happened. Hey, you call it a learning lesson. Again, we weren't in those rooms. Whatever the legal process plays out, I wasn't there, but at least say
no. But Sean,
at least like, hey, I apologize for the distraction. And dude, it took so much, like so many good prime years out of his career.
It's like, dude, all right, like. Yeah, I just think there's some things where it's like I want to hear, let's let the facts come to light. There's a legal process, and then there's things where it's like it doesn't really matter how the legal process comes out, because at the end of the day, like, you did something devious. You didn't ever think you were going to get caught. You got caught. Yes. And you created a massive distraction, and then somehow you conned a stupid fucking owner into making you the only guaranteed contract guy ever. To complicate matters. So absolutely that creates distraction, especially when you're not good at football. Yeah. When you're not good at football, that's going to create a distraction. Guess what reporters are going to ask you? Why aren't you good at football? Well, I thought we were getting the best quarterback. You think ownership's liking this? I always think back to when John Mara, after that third down QB sneak, I'm probably conflating memories here, but after that third down QB sneak by Jake Fromm, who, by the way, part of the comeback story to down the Baltimore Ravens preseason streak. After he ran that third down QB sneak and John Mara allegedly broke some trash cans, I just imagine being the owner that you took all that hard-earned money you skimmed off the gas pump for years and you gave it in the form of guaranteed contract to Deshaun Watson, maybe to make you feel less guilty about your transgressions.
Wow.
And now he sucks. You paid full price for the one quarter. Like, this guy sucks. And that's the narrative to me. The narrative to me this offseason is Deshaun Watson is not the best quarterback on his own team.
Yeah, I mean, DTR really is. I'm glad we were buying the DTR hype. We'll see. It's very early on, but he's just a guy that kind of pops on screen. We'll see. For me,
and you know what he is? I bet you he creates less variance than Deshaun Watson. The theory, right? Stefanski's offense, Shanahan's they require low variance quarterbacks. But give me a high floor, not a high ceiling, and the system works.
But also too, I don't think Stefanski has the leverage to bench Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun Watson has the guaranteed money. Yeah, I mean, if someone has to go between Deshaun Watson and Kevin Stefanski, it's gonna be Kevin Stefanski. So can Kevin Stefanski mold Deshaun Watson?
Sean.
Can he grab him and form the clay that is needed to get him to fit that system?
4th place plus 200 for the Browns. That's my favorite future. And here's the
I'm adjusting mine. Breaking news.
Here's the baton. Here's the baton handoff. Ready?
Well, actually,
John Gruden is the coach of the Browns in 2024 to fix Deshaun Watson. Can you imagine if we get a John Gruden back in the NFL in Cleveland to work with Deshaun Watson?
I guess
who says no? Like, my takeaway in the team preview was Stefanski has overperformed the Browns' shittiness for years and years and years. But I realized that I cannot, in good faith, be someone who sits here and I don't like Deshaun Watson. Even when I draft him in fantasy, I understand why I'm drafting Anthony Richardson, even though I think he's going to suck. I can't draft Deshaun Watson. I don't think he's going to be good. I don't think he's going to. I think he could. I like Njoku because he's a tight end.
But what brings me back to being, we both went 9-8. I'm going to stick with 9-8 because
take the win. No, take it away. Take the win away, man. Put him under 500.
All right, Ryan, update the sheet.
All right.
Of course, if you want the sheet, available in Patreon. Browns under 9.5 wins. To me, that's the future I'm sticking with because we do have Nick Chubb, and that gets me to our prop. Nick Chubb most rushing touchdowns plus 850. He's gonna get the attempts. He's gonna get the looks. I think like every time they're down near that goal line, it's gonna be Nick Chubb time. I think he's in store for a massive year. They haven't really done much to replace Kareem Hunt and all the goal line stuff that he was getting. And again, I do think that defensive line can get after guys. So again, 9-8 kind of feels right. I'm remembering now walking through their schedule. So I don't want to go all the way and fade them as last place, but I'm going to go under 9.5 wins for sure. And the prop Nick Chubb most rushing touchdowns, I really like.
Yeah, it is hard to find though. I'm actually not going to take the win away. I'll stay on the under. But
Brad Ward in the chat pointing out that you were rocking the all eyes on Cleveland shirt that he hooked us up with.
Is it ironic?
Again, if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, make sure you check that pod out.
And also, it's a very comfortable shirt.
Yeah, high quality.
We are a merch factory ourselves. So
yes,
game recognizes
game.
All right, so. Yeah, I'll, you know what? I'll stay with my weak ass fade of the Browns, but I really like the 4th place bet in this division.
Okay, and then what's your prop, Brian?
Oh, I had to fade Deshaun. So let's go under his passing yard. There are obviously lots of stats you can fade, but to me the passing touchdown, is the one to fade. I like Chubb. I think Chubb, this rushing attack, that could be the way this team becomes elite. It's not Deshaun Watson. I haven't seen it. So under 26.5 passing touchdowns. Do you know when the last time Deshaun Watson has thrown for more than 26.5 passing touchdowns?
2019, maybe.
This I didn't understand this line. So I'll give you his totals. Last year he threw for 7 touchdowns. 33 the year before in 2020. That was his best year. That was
2021 was his gap year, studying abroad with Andrew.
2020 was the year they went 4-12 and he threw for almost 5,000 yards, 33 touchdowns. The year before, 26 touchdowns. The year before, 26, 19. So he's only got
1 year
in his best year ever. Playing for a dome team. And they were losing the entire time.
That was a lot of garbage time. Kramer, let's do it. Let's talk Baltimore Ravens.
I know they're not at the top for some reason, but 10.5 in the win total. You obviously the people I've heard they've responded. You're cold on Lamar and the Ravens, even though Lamar's agent got the deal done at the end of the day. 8-9 for you, 12-5 for me. Look at me back at it. I was on a Lamar stand the year before. Didn't realize he was going to be listening so much to his agent. This year it's all about football, though. I've heard his agent is out of the picture. His manager, aka his mom's, out of the picture. The Lamar Jackson on the other team that we discovered, out of the picture.
You do have the AFC North winning 44 games, Ryan.
Is that too many?
That's 11 games per team. I appreciate the optimism, but I guess to me,
and yet I only have 2 overs in the division. It's pretty impressive.
It is. I mean, the numbers are high.
Yeah. That's why I don't feel like it's that crazy. I mean, they're projected to win what 30, 38 games.
Yeah.
Or no, 39.5 games. So yeah, that's not crazy. Whatever. We're getting 1-star reviews because you're
from
throwing
Larry
shade at the Ravens.
L 39.
So
host.
Stop it.
The one Ravens and Lamar hater is just a biased hater. I can't wait for Lamar to have a MVP type season.
Me either. And here, you know what? I'm going out of order because my favorite prop here, and you even said that doesn't make sense when we discussed it on the show. Lamar Jackson to lead the division in passing yards is 12-1.
I think that's
insane.
As far as I'm a guy who likes good value.
Let's just break it down. So him versus Kenny Pickett. You're a Kenny Pickett guy. Even the guy who loves the Kenny Pickett the most doesn't think the Kenny Pickett should be favored in that matchup. Heads up.
No.
Deshaun Watson versus Lamar Jackson passing yards. This to me is silly. I just don't see, like, we know Lamar is going to be leading a pass first offense now. That was the whole thesis as to why you think they're going to be bad.
Yes.
And yet here we are, Deshaun Watson going to be leading a run first off. you're basically just going heads up versus Joe Burrow, and he's already got an Achilles. I mean, sorry, a calf strain. Yeah, 12-1 Lamar Jackson. That's my prop, and obviously I love the Ravens to win the division. Sean, this was one of the earliest things I did this offseason. Again, I keep referring back to my super secret. You have some super secret docs. I also have some super secret docs with timestamps. Sean, when do you think I first invested in the Ravens this
sometime
offseason?
In April? I'll go April 14th.
May 11th.
Wow.
So I do have a little CLV on the division. It was plus 250 back then. So shout out to me. Also put them, Sean.
Yes.
We didn't have room on the sheet, but I also sprinkled them to again. Remember that 1 seed conference discussion we talked about? Also sprinkled them to be the 1 seed. But yeah, that felt easy enough to do back then because at the end of the day, Lamar is a regular season guy. He does choke in the playoffs. I think you're right to want to fade them, and I'm probably going to be with you wanting to fade them in the postseason, depending on how this offense looks. But I love them in the regular season. That was with Greg Roman, Ryan. Greg Roman, a guy who knew Lamar Jackson was good at running the football. A guy who Todd Monken wants to get rid of Lamar Jackson running. I want to get rid of Todd Monken. What are you doing? He's very good at running the ball. Lean into that. Design runs, read options, keep it going. He is not a I've just from watching some of the other Todd Monken offenses, I don't see it as a good match with Lamar Jackson's skill set. I think he's a very talented quarterback. I just don't think dropping this new offense with him, Rashad Bateman looks like he's going to be out, and then Odell Beckham and Zay Flowers. I like Zay Flowers. Well, Rashad Bateman is. What do you think he's going to be out now?
What's the latest you've heard on Rashad Bateman?
Did he get hurt after coming back off the pup?
No, but they had to. Okay. They had to give him cortisone shots. So I think that's going to be a nagging thing with Rashad Bateman.
Okay. I certainly I think this is one of those, there might be too many fantasy doctors on the internet now, but it seems like reading, and again, it's hard to trust the Ravens, but it does seem like he's on schedule. And so maybe I don't have all the information, but I have gone back to drafting him in best ball.
Okay.
So I've been getting a lot of Lamar lately where I go Lamar, I get a Zay Flowers, and then maybe a round or two later, I'll get a Bateman too.
Yeah. I don't know. The concern for me is coming back from a Liz Frank. It can take a while.
Sure.
I've seen it be a nagging injury.
Oh, absolutely. But I like that they have Beckham as well. The steady hands of Aguilar running around. You love Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, a certified dog.
I think Isaiah Likely, I think he's interesting in fantasy because I think he's going to get more red zone looks than people think. And I think he's going to eat into some of Mark Andrews' workload. I don't know if he necessarily is going to carry them to a winning regular season. That's why my future, I said under 10.5 wins on the sheet. I'm knocking it down to under 9.5 wins. I had them going 8-9 in the team preview. I'm going to stick by my guns. Under 9.5 wins is plus 150. I'm there with this Ravens.
All right, good. I mean, once again, you already cost us 1 star review. You're going right back to the table.
I mean, how soft are you in the city? I thought Baltimore was a tough, hard ass city. I watched The Wire. I've been to the Inner Harbor Aquarium. I thought there were some hard ass folks in Baltimore. The fact that I say, I think they're going to be 8-9. Oh, 1 star. Come on. How soft are you, Ravens fans? First off, Kramer is
soft as a crab cake.
Kramer's like a Deshaun Watson masseuse, just getting you guys in a full lather, and you have to give our show a 1-star review. Make fun of me in the description, but still give us our 5 stars. That Sean, is ungodly, sir.
For the record, if I was the masseuse, they wouldn't be so soft.
You have to know when to come.
I take my job seriously. All right. Interesting. So, wait, did you officially take a win away?
I'm saying 8-9. I was considering knocking them to 7-10, but again, Harbaugh, I think they do have a decent floor with that team. 7-10 feels a bit too far, but I did change my future from under 10.5 wins to under 9.5 wins and get that plus 150 price. For me, my favorite prop for the Ravens, give me an under on J.K. Dobbins. His price is 875.5 rushing yards. He had 520 last year. He had 805 his rookie year.
Very confusing.
There's just so
very confusing.
There's certainly a world where he gets here, but there's just a bunch of weirdness with him, with the team, with injuries. I can't make sense of. I'm honestly surprised, and shout out to DraftKings code DGen that they're listing this bet because a lot of places have it off the board. So, yeah, J.K. Dobbins under rushing yards. Like, what am I missing here, Ryan?
Why do you think it should be off the board? Because I'm going to say that I think J.K. Dobbins is another one where just too much. There's too much baggage in the story, and there's been too much time without football.
Yeah.
Because I've gone from fully out on him to, okay, I need to draft him because it seems like he's healthy and there's no competition.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's weird because in like if we're doing an underdog best ball, you could definitely maybe talk me into him depending on how far he slid. Because when you're drafting
6th,
a best ball
7th
team,
round.
you're looking for that massive upside, which I think is in the realm of possibilities. But for me, there are just so many questions out there about him, about the health. He was activated off PUP. He didn't see the field in last night's preseason game. He has a history of injuries, plus the timeshare with Gus Edwards. Again, to me, it's like there is a world where everything goes right for J.K. Dobbins, but that to me is not a 50-50 world.
Gus Edwards can't stay healthy. Melvin Gordon can't stay healthy. Keaton Mitchell's a fun guy. He got hurt in preseason. Justice Hill, he's been forever a Debbie dynasty guy. I just think the counter argument is J.K. Dobbins is the only guy who can get it done. And so maybe some of this isn't injury and it's just him being a fucking diva like these running backs decided to be this year. I would say this. I don't want to be unexposed to J.K. Dobbins, but I don't want to have too much exposure to J.K. Dobbins.
No, I don't. So again,
and I don't think the success of the team. See, this is why I think they're not going to I think they're going to be success. I don't think the running back's going to matter this year as much as it may have happened had impact in the past. I mean, Kenyon Drake was running the ball for this team last year, and it wasn't very useful. So
I think there's so many ways we get to the under on J.K. Dobbins. One.
I don't hate it. Yeah,
he has
even
issues,
though I like him,
he has issues with the team. There's already like contract stuff as well. 2, injuries. The guy has had a very injury, even though he's only been in the league. This is his 3rd year. Very injury filled career. Injuries. 3, if you do think the Ravens are good, maybe they ball out and maybe they're not running the ball as much as they previously did. Maybe I'm wrong about Lamar Jackson running a bunch and he runs a bunch and balls out. There's so many scenarios where he doesn't get to 876 rushing yards. To me, it feels great.
How many career yards do you think he has?
Well, I just looked at it, but it's like 900 yards.
Yeah.
Between 2 years. To me, this is like, again, I feel like I'm just repeating myself because he could have a great year. And that's why he's interesting in Underdog Fantasy. If you haven't signed up, Underdog Fantasy Best Ball Mania 4 got a chance to win $15 million in prizes. What are you doing? Use that promo code SGPN, 100% deposit match up to $100. We've been drafting a ton of these. Go back and listen to the some of the early episodes where we had some, early CLV, my Tank Bigsby picks, Kenny Gainwell in like round 18, 19. Now he looks like he might be the starting RB1 for the Philadelphia Eagles. And they got Pick'em over under on some of your favorite fantasy stuff, which is they even got it for preseason and they have season long over unders as well. Underdog Fantasy.
What are you doing, Josh?
.com promo code SGPN. Right, Ryan. Let's get to the. I
was going to comment on the draft board. J.K. Dobbins in the 6th round there.
Okay. Any other final thoughts on the Ravens?
I'm obviously high on him. I'll probably be looking at when we're out at the circuit this weekend. I'll probably be looking at Lamar MVP. I might have to go down that devious
get
dark
those paper tickets,
again.
Ryan.
Well, I don't want to be if. Lamar has the biggest chance to me of the top guys to like take that massive step forward outside of like the crazy like Justin Fields angle or Dan Jones, if you believe in that fairy tale. All right, let's move along. The AFC North, last team all the way to the top, 11.5 Bengals. I think we have their mascot roaring somewhere on the soundboard. 13-4.
My favorite part about the clip is how much Ryan loves hearing it as well.
It's a good sound drop. 13-4 for Sean. Very optimistic about Joey B and the Bengals.
Joe Burrow.
Not worried about that Achilles/calf injury at all. I am slightly down on them going under 11-6 with the prediction. I think as I've, it's been what a week and a half maybe since we've done this episode.
Yep.
There's been some preseason activity, which doesn't matter for them, but I think I feel good about the prediction. I do think they're going to be a good team. Again, even though they finished third in the division in my model, they make the playoffs. And so that feels right to me. I do think they're still a team that can crescendo at the end of the year. But I kind of like, instead of fading them on the win total, because it did feel a little dicey to do that because they can always rip off a heater.
Well, and that stat of like they have 28 regular season games without with Jamar Chase without losing by more than 3 points. I mean, that's crazy.
That being said, I'm shocked that their division win total is at 3.5, where you can get plus 140 to the under. We discussed with a Steelers fan, we discussed with a Browns fan, a Bengals fan, no Ravens fan. That's just me. And I feel like there's a lot of agreement, maybe not from the Bengals fan, that there is some choppiness to how the division operates.
Yeah,
we know the Bengals struggle with the Browns. And honestly, if you're calling for a split, like if there's one thing, if I'm betting the over on the Bengals division wins, like they could go 0-2 against the Browns, which is the most fucked up piece of this equation. So I think the fact that you can get plus 140,
Browns have had their number. That's going to be a tough game to predict week 1, I think, because Bengals are a road favorite. There's going to be a lot of question marks about Joe Burrow. I pulled it up. It is 23 games with Jamar Chase in the lineup without losing by more than 3 points. So that's a crazy stat. To your point, Ryan, and sorry, did you finish?
I finished pretty hard on that point.
You have to know when to come.
Yeah, basically, I even think when I gave this out on the show, you might have agreed with the under 3.5 division wins, even though you're at 13-4.
Yeah,
because I think last year the Bengals won a shitload of games.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to lose.
And they lost
a lot
3
of
division games.
I don't think they're going to lose a lot of games out of division. To me, and I'm high on the Bengals. Like I like what I've seen. I mean, what's not to like about Joe Burrow? What's not to like about this team? I think they did some interesting stuff on the defensive side. Again, you can get the whole breakdown, walking through, etc. on the Bengals team preview. To me, the fun way to play them, because it covers you with a slow start, if that does happen, is Bengals to win the AFC at 6-1. Joe Burrow is a road dog. I mean, he has won a lot of big time road playoff games.
DOG, not a DAWG.
Dog.
So even if they don't get the number 1 seed, even if they don't get the 13-4, I mean, does anyone want to play the Bengals in the round 1 playoff? If they're at home, if they're on the road, I mean, they've shown they can win in Kansas City and in Buffalo. The fact that you're getting 6-1 now, maybe you get to the AFC Championship game and it's super chalky. It's Bengals at Chiefs. You're still sitting on a 6-1. Now imagine if they also host that AFC Championship game. They're probably going to be favored in that thing, even if they're going to Buffalo. Yeah. You wouldn't want.
Come on, dude. You know it's not.
What if they're in Buffalo for the AFC Championship, or Pittsburgh for the AFC Championship? 600. You're gonna feel good about that bet. So yeah, give me the Bengals to win the AFC at 6-1.
Yeah, and honestly, based on how I think the season goes, you probably get a better price at the end of the year.
And great news. Joe Mixon has been acquitted of aggravated menacing. Always a good sign. I don't know if we have the trends of guys in fantasy who have been acquitted of aggravated menacing before their season.
Well, he's also, I don't know if you saw that, but one of the aggregators put out that he's got a vendetta. He's got a grudge against like certain reporters now. It's like the Sports Illustrated one. There's a couple other beat reporters who apparently are on the no-fly list with Joe Mixon because they were saying slanderous shit. Well, and they didn't let shit come out in the process, like we were talking about earlier. This isn't a rub and tug situation. There's process involved.
Well, and Joe Mixon, again, he's going to be an interesting multi-touchdown game guy. Cause like, what if he does decide to put the team on his back? We saw him ball out and have massive spike games. He's interesting in best ball. And I think in some of the multi-touchdown market as well.
I'll be honest, his draft, so he was very interesting when people were just dead scared of him going 7th round. He's up to 4th and 3rd round now
in best ball. Yeah. So I'm glad I bought the dip. Joe Mixon and Dogecoin. Good times.
Well, there's also just the look, he took the pay cut. They're going to run him into the ground. Like they might not. Like, I don't know if they have plans for him to be on the team next year. So this is for both players. This is like we're gonna. I've thought long and hard. Like if they're gonna start slow and they lean on Joe Mixon, maybe that's all part of the plan.
Making bacon, our buddy from New Zealand. He's a New Zealand butcher, so he's literally making the bacon.
They got pigs down there. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Are they different?
That's a great question. I know
they're probably better. They're probably harder than our pig. Like just, do they do the haka before you before being slaughtered?
Well, Canadian bacon is different. I wonder if New Zealand bacon is different. We'll have to get his take on it.
Well, that Canadian bacon, it's just because we're too nice and we don't want to let them know it's just fucking ham. Like, hey, that's ham, Canada.
Come on, let us have this Canadian bacon. He's saying Mixon up for a ball out year, 10+ touchdowns. I'm interested at what that price is. If you're still in the chat there,
8.5 is his total. I went into it I mean, it was one of the things I gave up on the T preview, but I think it's still a high touchdown total. I do, we were getting excited about Mixon a little bit on the Bengals preview because I think there's a narrative based reason, and just that team is kind of a bully team.
Yeah.
And that's he's kind of the bully.
And Kaysen, again, inventor of the MLD.
Oh wow, does he wear that badge proudly?
We need to make up some MLD shirts.
Godfather of the MLD.
But he was the guy who suggested that as a bet. And again, fun part of the team previews. Go back, check out all the people we nominated. Kaysen is a Chiefs fan, and he's even saying 6-1 to win the AFC is great value.
Oh, that's a classic reverse jinx.
It is
classic reverse.
Well, and also
jinx.
It just shows like how like safe these Chiefs fans feel, how cocky they
really
feel. Yeah, that's actually a good price. Team who might be able to beat us.
Yeah. What are you doing? I feel like that's dangerous. That's dangerous jinx territories.
No, he's playing it right. You're not going to say, he's not going to say, lock it up. He knows better than that. And making bacon.
No, he's saving his locks for Kadarius Toney snaps.
He said New Zealand bacon is great. My butcher shop actually won the silver medal out of my whole country. Not to brag. Well, I know, Ryan, I know we got factor meals coming, but maybe we got to get some New Zealand bacon.
I want to go to New Zealand.
How hard is it to mail bacon, making bacon?
Oh, they're literally on the other side of the world, and for some reason we won't drill through the middle of the earth.
Freeze dry.
You ever wonder why
we'll get some.
Ever wonder why we don't go through the middle, Sean? All right, just more questions for the Questions Without Answers podcast with me and Colby. Stay tuned for that.
Did you give out your prop?
No, I'm about to do it right now.
What do you got?
Some will say this is slanderous. Some will say, but I'm going under Joe Burrow passing yards.
Oh my God!
Walk me through it.
Well, the walkthrough is that he's starting slow with an injury that really concerns me. I know you're going to say it's not a big deal for a quarterback to be dealing with a lower leg injury, but I disagree. I think these lower calf strains linger. And I think they're going to linger, and there's going to be some sort of compensatory injury with him compensating. Maybe it's the other leg, maybe it's a knee.
Again, that's why my favorite bet is the conference, because I think by then he'll be right, and it is just setting up for another late season run for them. But I'm with you. The calf thing is concerning.
Well, it's more just, I think if you start slow, where are you? So what do you like? The spread, the line is 4.75.5, which is exactly what he did last year.
Yeah.
Played 16 games. Year before, 16 games, 46-11. And obviously the year before did not make it, but was not on pace to make it had he continued to play those games. So,
and to kind of pile on, Ryan, listen to the last 3 games: at Steelers, at Chiefs, Browns at home. Those aren't
We're not meteorologists.
Those aren't ideal passing environments. He does have a week 15 game against the Vikings, week 14 against the Colts, back-to-back dome. Or no, sorry, those are at home. So those are
Yeah, and the other bit layered on here is they have this, like, it's the last year of their lease with this car, and they're just going to drive the shit out of it, aka Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
So
we see that all the time.
As much as I love their weapons, and as much as it's very easy to fall in love with Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow strikes me as like he's going to be our generation's playoff quarterback. It like regular season doesn't matter, stats don't necessarily matter. And although it looks pretty cool to like have played your entire adult life with just fucking tigers as mascots, really adds to your drip level. I gotta fade him here. They're not focused on the first 5 weeks of the season.
The division specials segment in DraftKings is just electric. It is my favorite addition to our preseason stuff because there's so much.
Season point totals and the division markets are my two favorite.
I mean, the NFC East, Kenny Gainwell, the lead rushing yards, is still at 200-1. It's crazy.
Well, Barkley's in the division.
Yeah, no way he gets banged up.
Oh wow,
Ryan. For me, I'm going. I know I already gave out Pickens most receiving yards in the league, 80-1. I think this is probably a more realistic bet and at a more realistic price here. T. Higgins most receiving yards in the division plus 550. I know obviously he's competing with Jamar Chase and obviously Pickens and some of the other guys in there, but. At plus 550, I like their chances.
Which, by the way, in those same division markets,
I mean, he's the second favorite.
So this bet is dangerously close to something I feel like I need to make. Nick Chubb is a massive favorite in the rushing market for this division. Joe Mixon 7-1.
Yeah, that actually. All right.
I'm not high on the team, but I really obviously Nick Chubb has to get hurt probably for this to work.
Yeah,
but
Chubb's gonna get so much volume.
But if you asked me, like for me to list out like projected carries, it would be Chubb, Mixon, then Dobbins, then Harris. And so the fact that the odds don't match that make me
Dobbins especially is out. To me, it's a 3-horse race.
You have to, but who else is getting who are you projecting the carries for? Because you can't project injury, Sean.
Yeah. No, I guess that's to your point. Someone has to run the ball in Baltimore.
If you ever want to have fun, talk to fantasy nerds about their projections and just how they approach the season, and then get them in a fucking paradox where they realize that they're taking unders because they're predicting injuries. They'll feel really bad about themselves.
You cannot predict injuries.
Right, social media apology loading.
All right, fun division to talk about. Yeah. Hey,
I am high on the wins. I realize I know other divisions even close to my 44 wins.
44 would be kind of a record, Ryan.
Would it?
I'm trying to do the math. I feel like the Eagles. Well, again, we do have a 17 game season. Last year, the NFC East. I mean, Eagles had 14, Cowboys had 12.
It's 26.
You got up to
what were the Giants? 9.
So you got up to 43. So maybe it's not as crazy as I thought.
Okay, take the Browns win away. Let's get right on 43.
Right on 43.
I like that we're there. Yeah,
44 in my head just sounds crazy because that's
too high.
Every team getting 11 wins.
I think you need an odd. All right, I'm just going to take a win away at the end of the season.
Kaysen with a fun bet, Ryan. I know you're high on Zay Flowers, and I'm beginning to turn around. He's looked really crisp in training camp, and he does seem like
I get locked into the ACC.
No, I think you're on to something here. Zay Flowers 65-1 to lead the division receiving yards.
Whoa!
Chase gets hurt. It's wide open.
T. Higgins probably has to get hurt too.
T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. Again, I'm not here to pick nits at a 65-1 bet. I'm going to let you dare to dream. But Zay Flowers. Here's what I would say, Kaysen. Zay Flowers, offensive rookie of the year at 30-1. To me,
that's the bet.
Feels like. If he's going to lead the division in receiving yards, he's 100% going to get offensive rookie of the year.
If I was going to put but again, JSN
it's
breaks
65-1. Yeah, we haven't even talked about that.
I would, if I was going to
does that give you a Tyler Lockett bump, Ryan?
Oh yeah, Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I've been taking Lockett over JSN because they've been going about the same place. And I would say if you're talking to me about the way to play Zay Flowers, I think you nailed it. I think playing offensive rookie of the year, it feels like there's, I mean, again, just highlight the competition. You have JSN, who's now already got a ton of competition. He's now going to start slow. You have Jordan Addison, again, third at best for targets. And I just don't think that he would have to have a stellar season. And you have, after that, it's you have Quentin Johnson, same thing. He's buried on the depth chart there. And so Zay Flowers is 25-1. So we've already given you the case as to why he can outperform the receivers. So then it becomes a, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud. Also, he has the same odds as Will Levis at 30-1. And
Will
so
Levis is the third string quarterback.
Can he outperform Gibbs and Bijan basically for the skill position stuff? I think Bijan might be tough to overcome, but I like that. That's a long shot. Again, I can get behind. I think Zay Flowers is going to eat a lot of targets. He's going to get open. You see how open he gets in those drills. You see how open he gets.
No, he's
in training camp.
I watched some of that preseason game. Ravens. Yeah, right. Very crisp route running.
Anyway, that would co-sign that, but lots of other bets, many other bets.
Yes. YouTube.com/sports gambling podcast. We got all our plays up here again. For me, Bengals win the AFC 6-1. D Higgins most receiving yards in the division +550. Ravens under. I said 10.5 wins. I'm knocking it down to 9.5 wins +150. J.K. Dobbins under 875.5 rushing yards. Browns under 9.5 wins for me. Nick Chubb most rushing touchdowns +850. Steelers win the division +450. And my long shot of all long shots, George Pickens most receiving yards 80-1.
Nice. So I'll stay with the Steelers. Watt lead the league in sacks 10-1. I do like it. I think better than the defensive player of the year. Steelers over 8.5 wins. Come on, stone cold lock. Mike Tomlin wins more than he loses. Fourth place for the Browns. Deshaun Watson to go under 26.5 passing touchdowns. Maybe doesn't even finish the season. That's in the realm of possibilities. Lamar, give me him to have the most passing yards in the division at 12-1. This is just horribly mispriced. I'll also parlay that with the division. I mean, come on, Ravens pop their head up once again, +235. Like I mentioned, I have tons of CLV because I bet it early in the summer. You should be listening all off season. No excuses next year. We told you. Bengals last bit, division wins under 3.5 +140. Joe Burrow under 44.75.5 passing yards. Whew.
All right, you hear that noise? It's the noise of college football. Next time you hear our voices, we will be breaking down week 0 college football picks.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green. He's Ryan. I'm bringing this back. It's too awesome.
I think Colby's gonna have us pick some lower level games tonight, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, hop in the chat live too. YouTube.com/sports gambling podcast.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green. He's Ryan.
Really slaps.
Kramer, let it ride.